In this video, we'll introduce the formal process for converting units. We'll demonstrate this process with familiar units, but note that it's critical when we do more complicated problems and work with less familiar units. For this first part, we're told to use the formal process of converting units to determine how many minutes are in 3 hours and how many seconds are in 3 hours. The two key facts that we need to note first are that there are 60 seconds in 1 minute. So 60 seconds are equal to 1 minute, and 60 minutes are equal to 1 hour. So to start, we could do this in 2 steps or we could do it in 1 step, and I will show it in 2 steps and then I will show it in a single 1-step multiplication. So for this first one, let's start with our 3 hours. This is going to be 2-step. So we have 3 hours, and that will be equal to 3 hours. And now I'm going to multiply by a unit ratio, and I want to get from hours, so my process here, I'm going to start with hours, I'm going to go to minutes, and then I'm going to go to seconds. So for this first one, I'm going to go from hours to minutes, and to get from hours to minutes, I need to use that relationship that there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. If I want my units to be minutes and I have hours, I will put minutes in the numerator and hours in the denominator. So there are 60 minutes in 1 hour, so I'm going to multiply by 60 minutes over 1 hour. These units of hours will cancel, and I'll be left with the units of minutes. So I have 3 times 60, and my units are minutes. So I have 180 minutes. Now, to take this into seconds, I can take that 180 minutes and do a second unit conversion. So I'm going to go from minutes to seconds. I want seconds in my numerator since those are my desired units, and minutes in my denominator since those are the ones that I need to cancel. There are 60 seconds in 1 minute, so I'm going to make that unit ratio 60 seconds over 1 minute. Those units of minutes will cancel, and I will take 180 times 60, and that will leave me with 10,800, and those units are seconds. So I found that 3 hours is equal to 180 minutes, and it's also equal to 10,800 seconds. If I wanted to go straight from hours to seconds, I could do this in a 1-step process, and I'll show that next. I would take my 3 hours, and that's equal to 3 hours. And now I need to go from hours to minutes. So I'm going to multiply that by the unit ratio that has 1 hour in the denominator and 60 minutes in the numerator. And then I will also multiply by the unit ratio that has minutes in the denominator and seconds in the numerator, and that's 60 seconds over 1 minute. I can see that my units of hours will cancel, and my units of minutes will cancel, and I'm left with seconds. So I take 3 times 60 times 60, and I get 10,800 seconds. To summarize this, there are 180 minutes in 3 hours. And as my second summary, I could state that there are 10,800 seconds in 3 hours. In this next example, we'll use the formal process of converting units to determine how many feet are equivalent to 48 inches and how many yards are equivalent to 48 inches. To start, we need to know a couple key facts. The first is that there are 12 inches in 1 foot, so I'm going to write over here that 12 inches are equal to 1 foot, and that 3 feet are equal to 1 yard. those will be critical relations that we need to determine our unit fractions here. So again, I can show this in a two-step process or in a one-step process. I'll do the two-step process first. So I'm going to start with 48 inches, and that will be equal to 48 inches, and now I'm going to multiply by a unit ratio that turns this into feet. So I have 48 inches, and I'm going to multiply. I want to go from inches to feet, and then eventually I will go to yards. So that's going to be my process here, inches to feet to yards. So here I'll go inches to feet first, and I know that there are 12 inches in every 1 foot. So in the denominator, I'm going to put 12 inches, and in the numerator I'm going to put 1 foot. I knew to put inches in the denominator because inches are the unit I want to cancel and feet are the unit I want to end up with. So when I multiply this through, this is 48 times 1 over 12. The units of inches will cancel. It's important to note that since that 12 is in the denominator, I am essentially multiplying by 1/12. So 48 times 1/12 will give me 4, and those units are feet. To now turn this into yards, I'm going to take 4 feet and multiply by the unit ratio that has feet in the denominator and yards in the numerator, since I have feet and I want to get to yards. And I know that there's 1 yard in every 3 feet. Technically, I'd put 1 yard instead of 1 yards in that numerator. And when I multiply that through, those units of feet will cancel. So I'll be left with yards, and I'll have 4 times 1/3. So I'll have 4/3 yard, or I could say 1 1/3 yard. So I've taken 48 inches and I've determined that it's equivalent to 4 feet and that it's then equivalent to 4/3 yard or 1 1/3 yard. I could do this in a single step calculation, and that would take me from inches straight to yards. And so let's look at what that looks like. If we take our 48 inches, that's equal to 48 inches. Now I will first go to feet. And to do that, I'm going to multiply by a unit ratio that has 12 inches in the denominator and 1 foot in the numerator. My inches will cancel, so I'll be left with feet, and now I want to go from feet to yards. So I'm going to multiply by another unit ratio, and in the denominator I will put 3 feet, and in the numerator I will put 1 yard. Again, I knew that feet needed to go in the denominator because those are the unit that I want to cancel, and yards need to be in the numerator because that's the unit that I want to end up with. So feet will cancel here, and when I multiply this through, I will take 48 times 1/12 times 1/3, and that will simplify to 4/3, and those units are yards. So I have 4/3 yard or 1 1/3 yard. To summarize this, we can state that 48 inches, so I'll put therefore 48 inches are equivalent to 4 feet and are equivalent to 4/3 yards.